What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the BuiBros Football Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Quinn Bowie, one of the BuiBros here, and across from me, the Vikings fan over there, my brother Brandon.
Right, the Vikings fan. The other buoy bro. Today on the podcast, we will be going over and playing a little buy or sell on the Bleacher Report 2024 NFL Draft 10 predictions with under a month to go. Playing a little game, seeing if we buy what they're trying to sell. Maybe we'll sell it ourselves. And then we will also be doing a little head-to-head Vikings versus Chargers tier list. Quinn has set up
Yeah,
a nice little fun game for that. Keeping score, and it should be good. Right.
nice. Yeah, thought we'd play a few games right now. It's a little bit of a downtime in the off season here as everybody gears up for the draft, which has, as you mentioned, just under a month to go. And if you are stopping by and joining us today, just remember that a like, subscribe, and hitting that little bell notification really helps out the channel, allows us to keep going here, and we're just happy that you're joining. But Brandon, let's get into it here. Let's go. Bleacher Reports 2024 NFL Draft 10 predictions with under a month to go. Alex Ballantyne's article here. I don't know. I've seen the first one. I thought this would be a good idea if we kind of went into this blind
Yeah.
and then just see where Bleacher Report's head's going to be at. So, as I mentioned, I did read the first one, which was why it piqued my interest. Arizona Cardinals will trade number 4 pick.
Yeah.
What do you think, Brandon? Are you buying that rumor or are you selling that rumor as a Vikings fan there?
As a Vikings fan, all the talk is that people are going to be trading up for a quarterback. Not only us, but other teams will be looking. So the Cardinals have a lot of power, right? That's what it even says here, right here. The Cards hold a lot of power with the number 4 pick. They can do whatever they want. They could pick, like as Jim Harbaugh said last week, the number 5 pick seems like the first pick of the draft. Well,
Right.
it's number 4 if they because they could
Yes,
choose
yes.
they could do that if they wanted. They could choose whoever they want, and so that's pretty powerful to have that power, but also be able to sell it and trade back. So I personally for this one here, and like you said, I'm also blind for the Arizona Cardinals to trade the number 4 pick. I am buying that. I think that's happening. They're going to get some offer from somebody that is ridiculous, and they're going to say hell yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think I have to be in agreement with you, not only as maybe me trying to manifest this into the world, um, but the Cardinals were not of the upper echelon of teams last year, and there are quite a few holes that that team is trying to fill as well. And as great as getting somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr., when you have that um, many needs, I think trading back and as you said, if somebody offers you a king's ransom for what would then be the number 1 pick in the
Right.
draft, uh, I think they should trade down, and who knows, maybe the Chargers then land Marvin Harris Jr. I think that would be a great outcome there. But let's go on. Why don't you take us into the
Ooh.
second prediction?
And the second prediction is J.J. McCarthy will be a Minnesota Viking. Well,
That just seems right on trend
right
there.
there. This one, I don't know if I'm buying it. Like, the overall story is that the Vikings are going to trade up for one of the top 3 quarterbacks, which actually one of the top 4 now is what it seems.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
so this one specifically, national champion. We've talked heavily about how Jim Harbaugh loves this man. A lot of people are liking this
Absolutely.
guy. He had that great pro day of his. We've seen a couple pro days since his, and his still supposedly stands out as one of the better ones. And so I kind of, I would buy this as well. I'm not sure what you think about this one, but there's a lot of hype around this guy specifically, and I would be excited and happy if he were Minnesota Vikings. So manifesting, like you said, I buy this one. I will buy this one.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I know last week we talked about the astronomical uprise of JJ McCarthy's draft stock based off of his pro day, and since then, LSU has had their pro day as well as North Carolina there for Drake May, and I haven't seen the drop off in hype as much as I thought I was going to be.
Yeah.
I still am reading that the Washington Commanders are very interested in JJ McCarthy, and then today I also read that the Patriots are being pushed at that number three position to potentially draft JJ McCarthy. And of course, the storylines of the Patriots getting another Michigan great, and especially when their last Michigan great QB called JJ McCarthy the best Wolverine of
Yeah.
all time. Uh, I guess so many storylines that we could write there. So in the good old fashioned spirit of brotherly love here, I'm gonna sell this one. I think you
Ooh.
might get a chance at one of the other QBs because JJ McCarthy, um, I think he's gonna be going a little higher. I think his draft stock has just been going up and it's not going to come down. Like you said at the beginning, you said top three QBs, but then you corrected to top four QBs,
Yeah.
and that is the narrative right now. And I understand it's draft season and smoke and mirrors, but I think JJ's going a little bit higher.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like you said, these other three, obviously Caleb Williams number one, but Drake May,
Right.
Jaden Daniels, like they were meant to be, possibly competing for first overall. And now it just seems like JJ McCarthy's past him. It's hard to know because we're not connected with any of these scouts or any of these
Absolutely.
front office members. But it could be like a Will Levis situation like last year. That guy was getting mocked insanely high after the whole offseason and draft prep time.
Right.
So maybe this is the same. Maybe it's not. But
Right.
so you're a sell. I'm a buy. Okay, so first disagreements. Um,
Right.
let's see. Okay,
All right.
I haven't
Let's.
scrolled down, but you take us into the third one.
Okay. So the third one is the Atlanta Falcons will take the first defensive player at 8. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. Obviously, we're talking first three are going to be QBs, right? So Chicago, Washington, New England QBs. Arizona, if they stay, they're probably taking one of the elite wide receivers, who that may be, uncertain. If not, they're trading for somebody who is looking for that fourth QB. Chargers again at 5. At 5, I we're not taking a defensive player. I don't see us taking any. There hasn't been one of those extreme standouts as years pass on the defensive side right now, and especially with the Chargers' needs. We need more of that supporting cast around Justin Herbert. No. New York Giants, see, this is an interesting one, and I've been hearing some rumors about the Giants as well. Yeah, are they in the market for a quarterback? Or they're also looking at these wide receivers. Tennessee Titans. I've seen Joe Alt tackle out of Notre Dame there, and him falling all the way to 7, and they need to solidify that O line. Make sure to keep Will Levis on his feet. So then that brings us right there to Atlanta Falcons at 8, and like if you think about their offense had been a very successful running team in the last couple of seasons under Arthur Smith. Of course, his experience and being able to coach Derrick Henry in his time in Tennessee. But that means they've got a pretty good O line. They now have Kirko throwing the ball. Their QB's locked up. They've got Drake London at wide receiver. They had another free agent signing this year that I can't recall right now. Running back with Bijan. They've got Kyle Pitts. Their offense is set seemingly. They've spent the first round pick last 2 or 3 years on a skill position. Um, I think I'm gonna buy this prediction here with the Falcons taking the first defensive player. We spoke earlier on that if you guys didn't get a QB uh, early in the off season here, Dallas Turner, he showed out at in Indianapolis at the combine, and
Mhm.
everybody was excited, and so yeah, I'm gonna buy this.
Yeah, for me, I have a little bit like the Atlanta Falcons also have a pretty good defense, right? Like I
Right.
can't name you specifics on what their positions of need might be.
AJ Terrell, AJ Terrell,
Terrell, yeah, I
um,
think, yeah, the corner,
yeah, cornerback.
yeah,
Yeah, so
super good.
he's absolutely he's one of the cornerstones there. So maybe a running mate to him
Yeah,
could be up
yeah, help
there.
lock
Take the
down the other
best
side.
corner.
I'd have to look at their
Yeah.
depth chart here, but like, I definitely agree with you. Again, I'm not super familiar with their O line, but yeah, like their offensive weapons are obviously great, and then led by, like you
Right.
said, Kirk Cousins. It's a great offense, but it's kind of like with O line. I'm not so sure how that goes, and it depends on who's available. All of a sudden, Joe Alt is there still for some reason.
Right. Right. Right.
Maybe they're taking that guy. I've also heard rumors that they, even though they just signed Kirk, like it's pretty much a 2-year deal, they could still
Mm.
jump for a quarterback if they'd like. You know?
I guess if for some reason we go through and maybe JJ doesn't go on at
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
4 or 5, right? And then you realize, well, none of these teams need a quarterback, and then he starts to fall a bit, and and
Yeah.
and maybe then,
I
who
I,
who
I
knows?
also think there's a real possibility that they trade the pick, right?
Absolutely,
There's a
absolutely.
real possibility that they trade the pick, but I think if Dallas Turner is there, because I've seen a lot of things about us I've been reading more this week just because we talked about it last week about if we were to pick at 11 and 23, and Dallas Turner is obviously like who people want, but don't think that he'll be there. So
At 11, right?
it is a pretty good prediction that he would go before us, and 8 to 11, uh, the 3 picks there, 8 to 10, sorry, um, to have him be taken. Well, Atlanta's right in there, so I would say that makes sense to me. Like your explanation also helps as well. I didn't really read this whole article, but yeah, Falcons take
Yeah,
the first defensive player at 8. I buy it. It's kind of
yeah.
strange. Like, seems so low for a defensive player to be taken, but I guess with all the quarterback hype and then these, like you mentioned, elite wide receivers, I guess the first 7 picks at offense is pretty feasible.
Right. The league has already become much more of an offensive league
Hmm.
as of late. All right, let's go to pick number 4, or
Okay, let's
prediction
go
number
down
4.
right here. Okay, the Chicago Bears will trade down from number 9.
Hmm,
You know what? Why would they?
interesting.
Why would they here? So it says, okay, they won big when they traded down. Well, yeah. Okay, sure, they traded and they got the first overall pick this year. Yeah, okay, that's good. Poles could pull off another move down the board that should pay dividends. With the ninth
I
pick,
yeah,
they could wind up being
I
it could wind up being a valuable spot.
I don't
Uh,
know. I'm gonna say it heavily depends. I'm okay. I'm gonna sell. I'm gonna just say right off the bat, I'm gonna sell this
okay.
because I think it heavily depends on how the first 8 picks
Yeah.
were. I think there needs to be an absolute like one of these quarterbacks need to fall, and maybe the third. This is often where Rome Odunze, that third elite wide receiver prospect here, he was I've often seen him mocked to the Bears here, but with the trade for Keenan Allen, miss you Keenan, um, I don't know how much of this wide receiver room needs that third guy. I mean, holy moly, you now have 3 elite or at least above average great wide receivers in that room, plus Cole Kmet and DeAndre Swift, and with Caleb Williams talk about setting a rookie up for success.
Hmm.
If the coaching can match that, holy moly. So I don't know if Odunze makes sense, but if somebody really wants him, that's a prime spot potentially for the
Yeah.
Bears to trade down. Yes,
Honestly, reading what they said here, it actually kind of makes sense to me. It says if four of the quarterbacks end up going in the top 10, it'll push some premier talent in the draft to the
hundred
back end
percent.
of the top 10, which makes sense to me too, right? So people are going to be trading up for those premier players that would be top 5 in other draft classes,
Mm-hmm.
and so the Bears can still get some. They can even just trade down for like 9 to 14, whoever's there. If 9 wants to make
Yeah.
the jump, and you get a second rounder or something like that, or a third rounder, something a little bit extra.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's actually, again, I don't know if that value lines up at all, but
Right.
I could see this. Yeah, they already got their guy at 1. They've been making
100%.
off-season moves. They traded a couple things last year. They signed some. They signed whoever it was on the defense. Was it Roquan Smith? No, he left. Yeah, no,
They
never.
traded
Yeah,
him
they
to the
traded him the year
Ravens.
before. Yeah. Anyways, but they've been making moves, and people. I think that Chicago fans, Bears fans, are really happy with Ryan Poles and what he's done. So I think he has a little
Right.
bit of leeway there too to make, not have to pick the best player at 9, but start building a little bit more of their team with extra picks. So I buy this one. I buy this one. I
Yeah,
think it's
I don't know if you read this actually. Just thinking about Ryan Poles right now, he came out. I don't know if it was today or yesterday, where he gave a little bit of an inside view of what this draft process could look like, and he's talking specifically about pick 9, where he said when they were coming back from break. So I'm assuming this past long weekend, um, that they were going to split up into groups, and each group was going to be assigned a position group of the top tier talent around that pick. So there's going to be tackle prospects, there's going to be wide receiver prospects, and each of them are going to go and do their research, and ultimately they're all going to debate in an open forum and try and convince the rest of the team that, hey, this is the guy that we should be taking at
mm,
9.
mm,
um, it's interesting. I'd be curious to be, a wallflower in that room, a
yeah,
fly in that
definitely.
room, and just listen to how that goes.
Mm.
Okay, okay. So you buy it.
I buy
All
it.
right.
I'm buying what these guys are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, not too far off. Let's see what the next one is here. Okay. Whoa. Brock Bowers will fall to the back half of the first round. So from pick 17 onward here, let's see. So we've covered up to 8, well, now up to 9, which then means 10 is the New York Jets. Your Minnesota Vikings are the 11th pick. The Denver Broncos at 12, Raiders at 13, New Orleans Saints 14, Indianapolis Colts at 15, and the Seattle Seahawks at 16. Interesting. I can see a possibility that if it gets past pick 11, I could see this becoming a reality. Now, why pick 11? I'm not saying that the Vikings are taking Brock Bowers there. But for example, if the Chargers trade down, I think Brock Bowers there at 11 is holy. That is a great value pick for Brock Bowers, especially one of our top targets. And I understand that we've redone our tight end room in the offseason here, but getting somebody like Bowers would be more of an offensive weapon, could be that that pass catching tight end, which right now Will Disley, I believe, is going to be there. He's still again on the blocking side, but he's going to be trying to help with that receiving role. So maybe there, but it's interesting. I've also seen Bowers go to the Jets at 10 and just, hey, we are already all in with Aaron Rodgers right now. We lost a season. I read because of the performance based pay
Mm-hmm.
structure that they have going on.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers made 80 something dollars for his 0.33% of playing time. So they've already lost one season of him, and I believe he's going to be 40 years old when this season rolls around. So the time isn't on their side necessarily. They want to be all in, make sure he's able to contribute, to which I'm sure the Jets fans all hope would be another championship season. So I could see that if they get Bowers there with Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Brees Hall back there, Aaron Rodgers. I don't recall who their tight end is, but that's looking pretty nice. That's looking pretty nice over in New York.
Yeah, I can see that. When you explain it, it makes sense. But I find you can. So you're buying this one, sorry.
No, I am going to sell. I think
Oh, you're
that
selling. You think he's going to get picked?
I think he will get picked in
Mm,
the first half of the first round. Absolutely.
right. Okay. Yeah, I feel like you could make a case like you just did for a lot of teams to take a premier player like this. But for me, I think now I don't know where my evidence for this would be, but I think that the top tier first round tight ends are going to be a thing of the past. I haven't looked into it too much
A
this year.
thing of a like whole first round. Like, are we talking about devaluing to the running back
Like,
position?
obviously, teams will. It's like, what's the people will take him
For
if
sure.
he's the guy that they believe he could be. But it is similar to the running back position in my eyes. Well, that being said, there's running backs last year that went extremely high, but
Of course.
there's you know look at Sam Laporta too. What that guy was a third round pick, fifth round pick,
I think
something
he
like
was a
that.
second set. No, no, no,
Oh, it
second
was
round.
second. Oh, okay. Well, there you
Yes,
go.
yes,
Still though, right? Like this is a
yeah.
top tier guy that you didn't need to spend so much capital on, and I think that you know, say what you will about Kyle Pitts, possibly a great player. We won't
Yes.
know. We don't know if
Right.
he's been great the last few years. His statistics surely don't say so.
Hmm.
But I think it's kind of like fantasy. If he's not Travis Kelsey, then you just don't take him, and that's in years past, obviously. But
Right.
you can get the same guy just like in a running back. You can get almost the same guy in later picks, and you don't have to spend so much to get him because the top O linemen, the top D linemen, the top, even possibly the top receivers, like there's just a lot more of them, but um, the top quarterbacks, all of those guys are very high value targets to get in the first round. And I think that people will be trading up, people will be trading down, knowing that this guy might drop. Obviously I don't know about this guy specifically, but I'm just talking about Titans as a whole. I think are going to generally go later because the position is valued less in the draft. And I think that you
Okay.
can see that with how little guys are drafted in the first round now,
Mm-hmm.
and then how many of them don't pan out. It doesn't seem worth it. So I am buying this one. I think that he will fall to the back half because teams are kind of devaluing the position in the draft.
Right. Okay, so then I have a question for you because are you
What?
saying that you are unhappy or
I
you would
didn't
happily
draft.
replace TJ
We
Hawkinson?
didn't
You're
draft TJ
coming from
Hawkinson.
a Vikings fan who has eighth overall pick in 2019, TJ Hawkinson,
The Vikings did not draft TJ
Iowa
Hawkinson.
tight end.
And that's all I have to say because we saw the value after, got him, paid him. And
After,
that's great.
right, and you paid less than a first round pick for him, so I guess
Exactly.
it stands.
Exactly.
I guess it stands. They overpaid for him.
But
They overpaid for him.
we also then paid him a lot more money than he would be making as a
Right,
rookie on his rookie deal. So there's a couple, things to say.
for
But
sure.
even as, yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have said, yeah,
All
totally trade a
good.
first
Anyway,
round pick for him. But yeah, I
speaking
think
of
that that's it.
halfway points, we are now at halfway at the for the 2024 10 predictions before the NFL draft. And so why don't you bring us to number 6 there?
Okay, number 6. Ooh, wide receiver class will tie the first round record. Okay. And it's got a picture of
Oh, neighbors
neighbors.
there.
Oh,
And
I thought
Brian
this was gonna be. I thought
Thomas.
this was JJ for a second, and then I looked at the numbers and I
No, no,
realized
no.
it is not. So never mind. These
Okay.
guys are the B class LSU receivers.
Interesting. So what is that
Okay, so it says here
record?
the mark is 7. Ooh. In 2004, anchored by Larry Fitzgerald, had 7 receivers go in the first round. I wish it would tell us the 7 here. Um,
7. Like I feel like 7 would have to be including the Chiefs down there at 32, and I feel the Chiefs could probably trade back and let somebody come in and get that fifth round option on a player.
Man, look at these. So
Wow. Okay. So who are they saying? So obviously, or I'm gonna say obviously we have three right off the hopper with
yeah,
Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Roma Dunze.
but who are the other 4?
Um. So Brian Thomas Jr., so Malik Neighbors' running mate over
Yeah,
there,
at LSU.
the Jamar Chase to the your JJ or JJ to their Jamar
Yeah,
Chase. I don't know, however you want to
I think
position
Neighbors
that.
is the Jamar Chase. He's got very similar measurables too, like height, weight,
Right.
everything is very similar. So
Um, Donnie Mitchell, Roman Wilson, Xavier Worthy with
oh yeah,
his
because of
crazy
his 40.
40 speed. So, that puts it up there. And then Brian Thomas Jr. So there's 7, right? So I 7 is tough. I think it is such a deep class at wide receiver, and it's so deep in so many other positions. Right now, with all the headlines, it's looking like this draft is supposed to be a pretty star-studded draft. Like top 50 prospects are all blue chip prospects and potential starters, day one starters. So uh, 7, I'm going to sell this. I think that's too many. Yeah, that's too many in the first round.
I'm gonna just straight up agree with you. I'm gonna sell this one as well. Even in their article here, they only list 3 of them.
Right.
Like they don't have the star names to list all
Yeah.
7
Yeah.
of these guys that they're telling us are gonna go. That means that they're
Right.
not locks, right? Like these are just obviously predictions, but this seems like more of a bold prediction than the last ones have seemed like maybe a little. These are predictions that could happen, likely happen, unlikely happen, but this one is
Mhm,
a
mhm.
bold prediction, even the way that they
Yeah.
frame it. So I'm gonna sell this one as well. I don't think that they're gonna tie that. There's no Larry Fitzgerald in this draft class. I think it's a G.
Yeah. All right, next one. Bo Nix won't be a first round pick. Ooh. Won't be a first round pick. So I guess do the Denver Broncos pull the trigger pick 12 because the Denver Broncos do not have a second round pick due to the Sean Payton trade. So they are not going to get, if they like Bo Nix, they won't get Bo Nix. It's very unlikely that they'll get Bo Nix if they don't pull the trigger at 12. So do they trade down? I don't know what. There hasn't been a lot of talk about trading down that I've seen for the Denver Broncos because they're in this quarterback race and they want to potentially move up. This would mean I'm if Bo Nix is a first round quarterback, that means 6 in my eyes, with Michael Penix Jr. being the fifth. 6 quarterbacks go in the first round, which I'm curious what the record of that is. It is a quarterback driven league. And there are a lot of QB needy teams this year. I am going to sell this. Oh, I'm going to buy this because of the double negative wording here. Bo Nix won't be a
Yeah,
first round pick. I agree with that.
I also agree with that. I have been seeing way more Penix Jr. hype these days than I have been
Right.
Bo Nix. Like And the talk about how much he's Penix Jr. is hyped up, and then they're going, he's definitely a first round pick, stuff like that. But nobody's talking about Bo Nix that way. Maybe that's just he's not as flashy at the moment. I don't know if he's had his pro day. I think he
Right.
has though, right?
Yeah, I think all the pro days are
Yeah, I
pretty
feel like
much
it's all done, right?
all done.
Dude, I don't know. I haven't heard anything about this guy. This is like the guy that I'm thinking I definitely don't want this guy on the Vikings. You know what I mean? But uh, I think I think he doesn't get picked in the first round. He's going to start falling. People are going to realize, oh, we don't need to trade up for him because none of these teams need quarterbacks. Nobody's trading
Right.
up in the first round to get this guy again. I would say he does not go in the first round as well. So I'm buying this one as well. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Next one is the Miami Dolphins will trade back from 21. Okay. Uh,
Trade back from 21. I understand that the Dolphins cap situation isn't the greatest. I mean, they
yeah.
need more draft picks, sure. I know they lost some when they were tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. Uh, I'm gonna say the Dolphins will trade back. Well, they'll try to trade back based off of the fact that they need to build the team through the draft as they need some help when it comes to the free agent side of the business. So I'll say I'll buy and
We're gonna
let's
have to.
let's see what's gonna happen. They have that Tua situation that they have to deal with soon. They're paying Tyreek 30 plus million a year. Jalen Waddle's up for contract here. Jalen Waddle was yeah, I'm pretty sure Jalen Waddle was 2021. So he's got one more year.
Right.
So they have all these superstars, and wide receiver market's not cheap. But everybody's still waiting for your boy. What's going on over there with JJ? Um,
Yeah, it's
Dolphins try to trade down.
yeah. Even in the article, it says one scenario could see that this is an important spot for quarterbacks. The Eagles and Vikings have picked 22 and 23 respectively, and have needs at quarterback. And both Cooper DeJean and Kool Aid McKinstry
Right.
could be available at that spot. So maybe one of us would trade up just like one or two spots just to ensure that we get it. But
A cornerback.
a cornerback, yes, cornerback. Sorry. Um,
Right.
I don't know. It depends. It all depends on who's there, right? Maybe they're a prime
Mm.
spot to, on the last one we just said that Bo Nix won't go, but maybe one of these guys will drop, and and 21 is a perfect spot for somebody to trade up. Miami could get a lot of value for that, especially if they're going to be taking a quarterback or something. But uh, I don't know. I really don't have an opinion on this one either way. So I'll go against you just for fun. We can watch this over and see who was
Yeah.
right on more of them. So I'm gonna. So you bought this. You think they do trade? I'm gonna say.
Yes.
I guess I'm gonna sell and say that they stay. They pick. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Just to argue.
Yeah,
Just to argue.
just to have some variance in our picks.
All right.
Okay, next
Let's
one.
go
Ooh, no running
down.
back selected in the top 50. Whoa.
Okay. This is interesting. So thinking about it, I'm of the belief that there won't be. I haven't heard any buzz in the same way that we did with Bijan last year, and there's no generational talent of running backs this year. So then that eliminates the first round in my mind. Then we go down, pick 33. The Carolina Panthers finally get their pick in the first pick of the second round. They have nobody in the running back room. They have nobody. Um, so
Is
they're
James
gonna need
Conner
to
gone?
address that. Carolina Panthers?
Oh,
James
I thought you
Conner
said
would.
Arizona Cardinals. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry, my enunciation. The Carolina Panthers do not have a running back. They have Miles Sanders, who they signed last year,
Yeah,
$6 million deal. It's not the
who didn't
best
do anything.
situation. I could see them potentially looking for a running back. The Patriots are probably okay, especially second round pick. I know it's a new regime over there with Gerard Mayo, but they've got Ramondre Stevenson. Arizona Cardinals, as you said, James Conner, he is getting a little long in the tooth, so I don't know. Washington Commanders, well, Jr., Brian Robinson Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr. And then Eckler over there, probably not going to take it. The Chargers are not going to take at 37. Titans just signed
But what if
Carolina
you
again.
do? What if you do take Blake Corum?
I don't think in the second round. Blake Corum's been mocked. I see third round and will be up pretty high in the third round. So I mean, who knows? Somebody could take him, but
Jim Harbaugh's he loves that man,
my
right?
goodness, okay. So it really only gets interesting. I could go through and tell you all the teams that don't really need running backs, but the Raiders, Zamir White, maybe. Saints, are they done with Alvin Kamara? Maybe. Colts, no, but the New York Giants,
Right.
they sign anybody? I think that could be, and they pick there at 47. So what is the wording?
Let's see.
No running backs selected in the top 50. I am going to. I'm actually going to buy it. Again, I threw that
Ooh.
number that I've heard is top 50 prospects or blue chip prospects. And because I have not heard of these running backs being a
Top
in that
50.
blue chip tier, I don't think it's going to be best player available. I'm
I
selling it
think
or I'm buying it.
so. You're buying it. There's no one. I'm selling it. Somebody's gonna love somebody because you don't have to be a running back needy team. Even last year, the Lions with Jameer Gibbs, that was a shock. They just signed David
Right
Montgomery
there,
and
yes.
then they just choose Jameer Gibbs. I think it was like 13 or something like that, or it was wild, way too high.
Yeah.
But it turns out not to be. That guy's a stud. I think somebody is gonna really like one of these guys. I think that somebody's gonna be pick number 37. I think Jim Harbaugh's gonna choose his guy, Blake Corum, and just get after it. Because I was reading up on some stats on Jim Harbaugh and his
Right.
offenses, and they are running offenses. He runs the ball like crazy. And he needs that guy. I know Gus Edwards is there, but maybe he wants another guy. He's very familiar with Blake Corum, obviously.
Right.
And we've seen how high he is on all these Michigan guys. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not going to put that stipulation in my pick here, but I think that somebody's going to take the shot. I think somebody's going to see someone that they like, that they believe should be selected in the second round, or in the top 50, I should say, and they're going to take him. So I'm going to sell this one. I'm saying that somebody gets picked in the top 50, a running back.
Okay. Well, it makes it interesting when we have differing opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And to bring it home here, Michael Penix Jr. will be a Los Angeles Ram. Interesting. So with
Interesting.
him being potentially in that first round, that would mean pick 19 if they stay where they are for
That's
the LA
right.
Rams. And just looking at some of the team needs for the Los Angeles Rams, biggest needs are cornerback, edge rusher, safety, kicker, and quarterback. Now, is that listed in order of priority? Potentially. How long does Matthew Stafford have? Is Michael Penix Jr. Does he have all of the traits that Sean McVay and the Rams love, where they say, "Hey, go learn behind former number one overall pick Matthew Stafford." Oh, also former Super Bowl champion Matthew Stafford. Go learn behind him about the game and bring him up to speed.
Does this mean though that they've just given up on Stetson Bennett?
Well, that's a good point. With all the drama that was going on at the end of
Yeah,
last
something
season,
weird.
Stetson Bennett. Um, which is such a turn of events because the Rams seemed extremely high on him last
Yeah,
year.
in the preseason.
Didn't the GM Les Snead come out and say thought he was the best quarterback of the draft?
Uh,
Somebody in the upper brass of the Rams came out and said that they had Stetson Bennett as their number one QB last year,
huh,
and that was over the likes of Bryce Young and CJ
yeah.
Stroud. Um,
Um,
so
I don't know. Uh,
why
I
don't you
don't know
take a
what
crack
happened
at
with
this
him.
one first so
Yeah.
I can go against you this time.
Okay. I didn't. So they just signed Jimmy G, and then I don't know what his contract was. They've got Stafford, Jimmy G, Stetson Bennett still. That's a little weird situation. I'm not so sure what's
Right.
up with that. This one does not strike me as being a legitimate option. Obviously, the draft can go places that you don't think, but this guy, I don't know. I haven't seen this at all. I haven't seen Penix to the Rams at all. Yes, Stafford's old. It says here he's 36, some serious health issues, which is true. Um, uh, Jimmy G proved to be the best yeah, backup, whatever. I don't know. I'm selling this one. This one doesn't
You
seem at
selling
all
this?
like a good fit. Just from what I've been seeing, and so I'm selling this one. I think that this is incorrect.
I so badly, just for the sake of arguing
I want to say
with
this.
you, I want to buy it, but now also factoring in McVay's the rumors of McVay's retirement in the last couple of seasons. I don't know how much stock to put in that, but now with Aaron Donald gone and that Super Bowl winning team is is losing a lot
Gonzo.
of key pieces and
Yeah.
I don't know if the upper brass does not know what their situation is like with the head coach right now. Like, let's just continue with continuity. Let's try to surround everybody around Matthew Stafford, and let's just try and go win this thing with what we've got and the head coach that we have today.
Yeah. So
Oh, there we have
you're
it.
selling.
The I yeah
You're selling.
yes
Okay.
I am also selling with you there.
That's
And
it.
that's it. The 2024 NFL Draft, 10 predictions with under a month to go. Buy or sell. And again, thank you so much. If you are tuning in, we appreciate you listening. More than welcome to join the conversation. Drop a comment down below. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. Brandon, now we're going to go head to head, me against you, for reals. And we're going to do a tier list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are going to do a position tier list for both the Chargers and the Vikings. Tier lists are as follows: tier, the best of the best, super god tier, the A tier, B, C, D, and at the bottom, the rebuild tier. Is there a certain position room on your team that you think we need to absolutely rebuild this because we are one of the worst in the league? Now, each of these tiers will have a point system from 100 points in the S tier down to one little point for the rebuild tier. We will put 10 position groups: quarterback, running backs room, wide receiver, tight end, O line, D line, edge, linebackers, cornerbacks, and safety. 10 slotted through there, and how many in each tier will calculate the points and see at the end of it before the 2024 NFL draft who is in a better position in your and my point of views. Let's begin here, Brandon. So why don't we start at the top in the quarterback room for the Vikings? Where do you position the quarterback room for the Vikings on
Okay.
our tier lists?
So I just want to say first, I am hiding the total points for now. So I will not be seeing, yeah, I could do the math, but I'm not going to. Just so it's just a little surprise for me. So I'm not cheating and going like, these guys are
Right,
better.
right.
So, okay. The quarterback room. The quarterback room seems to be updating, or will be updated after the draft. So currently, I can't speak too highly. We can just look at third string Jaron Hall. He was fine ish last year, ish, very ish fine for um, a third string,
Rookie.
third, fourth string guy, a rookie, exactly. And so that one we're saying not the best third string out there. Nick Mullins, gunslinger, basically Favre, except maybe Barv, like Barf is
Favre.
the
Yeah.
better actual name for
Discount Favre there.
discount Favre. He is.
Wait, do you mean
No,
Minnesota
I mean
Vikings legend Brett Favre?
no. He's done some things. He's lost his status. So we're
Oh,
he's
right,
he's
right,
lost his status.
right.
He is the New York Jets. If you'd like to, the New York Jets legend, Brett Favre, Green Bay Packers legend Brett Favre, but no longer a Minnesota Vikings legend. So Nick Mullins, second string, he's probably an adequate backup at best. Um,
Right.
you don't like it if he's starting, but he was able to put up pretty nice, well, decent stats, but he had some pretty garbage games as well. So that was last year when he had to play. Sam Darnold, we have yet to see him on a competent team. So we'll say that he's better than.
Besides the Niners last year, right?
Well, yeah, but we didn't get to see him really. I think he had a really
Okay,
good.
you starting. Okay.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen him play really, right?
Right,
So
right, right.
I think that Darnold is better than he has been. He has potential. So I'll say, just to be, pretty fair, I'll say that we're in a B tier. I gotta kind of see what the
Okay.
reference is. Obviously, like Mahomes is S tier. There's might be maybe some guys up there that you feel as well. Um, I personally would not put us in the tier below that. I'm
Okay.
gonna go and
Okay.
say that we're not teetering on garbage. We might be. We'll see what he's like. But for now, I think that we are. How do I do this here? We are putting him. Let me do this
A B tier.
in the B tier.
Wonderful. Okay. I don't know. I think that's a little high for your quarterback room, but I'll take it. Okay. And this is pre-draft. We will see what happens afterwards. For me, quarterback tier, I have to put quarterback tier in the S tier.
Homer. It's a
Um,
Homer take. I thought we were being
it is
serious over here.
not a it is not a homer take. I believe, and many people also believe that Justin Herbert is a top 5 quarterback in the league, and especially now with Harbaugh running the show, he is going to take it to a another level. Okay? And he is again top 5 talent and stick. So there's continuity. They have a relationship there. They know how to work with each other. Max Duggan was the 7th round rookie that we drafted last year. It was TCU's quarterback. Quentin Johnston's quarterback there. He really hasn't done a whole lot. Easton Stick, as a backup and support system for Justin Herbert, I think that's great. But he did come in at the end of last season when Herbert was down, and he didn't light up the field, is all I will say. But because of Justin Herbert there, the Los Angeles Chargers have an S tier quarterback room. So I will start off with the running backs next. Running backs with today's news that the LA Chargers have signed fullback Ben Mason. We will also be including fullback in the running backs room here. It is not looking the same as it has in years past. Our quote unquote bell cow running back there in Gus Edwards, he has never been that in any of the years that he was in Baltimore. Maybe that means he has more tread on the tires. We're not sure. Isaiah Spiller, he was a promising prospect, fourth round pick a couple years back, and he never became anything that he was in college with that. I remember there were talks of Le'Veon Bell comparisons because he had the patience and the vision. He wasn't the fastest of the group, but because of that, he can make the quick cut and do damage. Elijah Dotson is interesting. He was a undrafted rookie that we had last year, and he he showed some potential. He had that similar scat back, but a bit stronger, not quite Eckler, but he was able to take it on the outside and turn the wheels on. So that's interesting. And then we have Jarrett Patterson there. So obviously we need to figure out our running backs room. Obviously, it looks like coach and GM are supporting Gus Edwards, and with the way that we know, with today's signing being another point in that direction, that we want to be a running team, we want to be able to run the football. Um, our running back room, I'm going to say our running back room is in the B tier. No, I'm going to put it in the C tier right now. Just to be honest, Gus Edwards, I have all the belief in him, and I hope he can be that bell cow for us, that workhorse. Um, so let's see.
Okay. For us, I won't start with the first one here. So we've got Dwayne McBride, who was a rookie last year, I believe, but a lot of faith. The coaching staff really liked him. So we'll see how that goes. Kene Wongwu, he's just like a really fast guy. He's our fast back, but he doesn't have the best vision. So he's more of a special teams guy, kick returner, which is great. He's
Right.
great at doing that. So those guys, like they are possibly serviceable in like one or two carries a game, if that. Um, Ty Chandler, he kind of took over for Alexander Madison last year,
Yeah.
and the fans loved it. He was great. He had a problem with blocking, and that's why Madison got lots of the starts last year. Is because he's just better at pass blocking. So Ty Chandler, hopefully, he's worked on that a little bit more
Okay.
this year. We'll see how that goes. Aaron Jones, everybody knows Aaron Jones. That guy's a beast. I'm still excited to see what he has left in the tank, how we use him. If we use him in tandem with Ty Chandler, he doesn't get too much wear on his already uh, worn out legs. Possibly, like he's still
Yeah.
got lots left in the tank, it seems, but he's not going to be the same back that he used to be. But Aaron Jones he's a he's up there. He's not top tier, but he's a top tier running back. Very an elite running back and pass catcher as
Right.
well. So that's great. Those are all great. But what kicks us up just a little bit is if we're looking at S tier fullbacks. Obviously, there's one dude. There's one dude.
Kyle Juszczyk is the S tier fullback.
Exactly, Cal Juszczyk. But like CJ Ham, and nobody else hears about this because no one ever looks at other teams' fullbacks. You know what I mean?
Right.
So CJ Ham is the guy underneath Kyle Juszczyk. So because of that, yeah, he's not S tier, but he's definitely A tier fullback. So that kind of ups our average a little bit. I'm actually going to go with the running backs being an A tier position for us. I think Aaron
Okay.
Jones is great. I
Interesting.
also think Ty Chandler, if he is just a backup, he's awesome. He's explosive.
Absolutely.
He's got
He
lots of
killed in
talent.
fantasy for me last
He
year.
has
Great waiver
lots of
wire
talent.
pickup.
So I am very high on him, and that's not even our starter. I'm obviously higher on Aaron Jones than I am on Ty Chandler, and uh, so I'm very high on this running back room. Obviously
Right.
not S tier. I don't think that they're even close to the S tier. I think the S tier there's a little bit like that's reserved for a very select few guys. Um,
Right.
but I do think that we're A tier. I definitely think we're A tier, especially when we factor in the
Reserved for a select few players.
Yes.
I wonder who could be in that select
I
group
I guess we'll move
of
on to the
players.
next position group and we'll look at.
Yeah, why don't you start us off with that?
So it
Let
says
me
here
follow.
we've got Nikhil Harry. Great.
Oh, is that former first round bust of the New England
New England
Patriots?
Patriots right there. That's our guy, okay?
Mm, With
I
all
don't
due
need to
respect.
say anything about this, about any of the guys that we have on this roster, which there's 11 listed here. I need to talk about one man. Oh, I didn't even know we were doing it. Look at number
Oh,
two.
who's that? Yeah.
Who's this? Justin Jefferson. This man is all you need, and he has a supporting cast in the wide receiver room.
Yes, he
Jordan
does.
Addison is a stud. This guy is. Ugh, how do you describe him? Like, he's so good. JJ goes down, and this guy didn't miss a step. Like, he was putting up numbers like crazy. He led us on a 5 game win streak without
Yep.
JJ.
Yes.
Or JJ was a part of some of it, but he kept, he kept us going even when Kirk was out. Like,
Just rub it in some more, Brandon. I know we
man,
had the
having
opportunity to get Addison
you
last year.
did, dude. This guy's a stud. I think he's, and we'll see how he's grown over the offseason. The guy wasn't the
He's
same
just
player
working.
at the end of the year that he was at the beginning, and so he's just gonna keep working, like you say. I think it's without a doubt everybody would agree that the Vikings have an S tier wide receiver room.
I agree. There's nothing that I can argue with that point. No matter how many players are listed on the depth chart, you've got that guy in JJ and another first round pick in Jordan Addison. I think S tier is appropriate. Well, let's go to your 11 listed on ESPN wide receivers and to one, two, three, four. That's right. There are four wide receivers listed on the depth chart for the LA Chargers, based off ESPN today. And I mean, I wouldn't list them all, but there's only four. So at the helm, Joshua Palmer. Okay, Josh Palmer has stepped up in a way when Keenan and Mike went down over the last couple of years, and he's put some good performances, some great performances together. It just hasn't been as consistent. He is absolutely a, a great wide receiver too, and can he be a wide receiver one? I absolutely believe so. I think if he continues to get reps and build that rapport with Justin Herbert, he can be that guy. We saw him in college in Tennessee, and he was beating some of the top cornerbacks of his draft class in college in a routine basis. It was the quarterback play that a lot of people were attributing the not so flashy numbers. So Josh Palmer, I have faith in him. Um, let's see if he can step up even more so than he has in the past. Quentin Johnston. We believe in Quentin Johnston because the LA Chargers believe in Quentin Johnston. A lot of the rookie wide receivers do have some struggles in that first season. I guess from a fan's perspective, it's also tough when you see that there are seemingly more wide receivers who are having success in the first, who were drafted in the first round in their first season.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily an anomaly to be good right out of the gate. And because he wasn't, and it's very much a show me what you can do now type of league. Um, let's see. Season two, he's still very early in his career, and there's excitement there. His teammate Darius Davis, so funny. We got Darius Davis, Quentin Johnston, and our quarterback Max Duggan from the championship attending team in TCU. So Darius Davis, as a special teamer, as a punt kick returner, I think that's going to be very exciting. He is lightning fast. He's that shifty guy. Get him underneath on some of those flats, or I think he can take the ball and run. So there is excitement there. I wouldn't necessarily put him in that WR1 2 conversation. And then we have Simi Fehoko, who used to be on the Dallas Cowboys as a backup. So in a three wide receiver set, he would be a backup. But oh goodness, it is tough because there is some potential here. I am not going to put our wide receiver room in the rebuild tier. I will not do that. I will put our wide receiver room in the D tier
Okay.
until proven otherwise. We do need somebody now leaving Keenan and Mike, or letting them go and trading them to the Bears. Um, that's unfortunate. Which then will bring us to the tight end room for the Chargers, which we got rid of a pass catching tight end in Gerald Everett last year, and we replaced him with Will Disley. Um, I don't know about this tight end room. It is tough. Will Disley, Hayden Hurst. Oh, excuse me. Will Disley is the blocking tight end. I made the mistake. It was Hayden Hurst who has the patch casting prowess. Again, over from the Baltimore Ravens. Donald Parham Jr., 6'8", baby, 6'8".
6'8".
Every time he scores a touchdown, 6'8". Stone smart. He had a couple big plays, including a 40-plus yard touchdown last year, so there's some excitement there. I think it is a serviceable tight end room. I do. I do. And because of that, I am going to, and it's a good mix of tight ends between blocking and pass catching. I am going to put that in the B tier for our tight end room.
Okay. Okay, for us tight end, obviously we have TJ Hawkinson. We'll get to him in a second. But we also have Nick Muse, fourth string. He's a serviceable backup, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have Johnny Munt as our third string, who our coach Kevin O'Connell has stated, and I've said this before to you, that Johnny Munt is the best third string tight end in the league. So that's high praise, obviously. Well, what else is your coach going to say about you? But it's not like they're coming out and talking specifically about the third string. It's not like
Right.
they're saying this guy's so good he deserves to be a starter. They're talking about guys who are the third man up. And Johnny Munt is, in his eyes, the best. So in my eyes, he's also the best. Um, Josh Oliver, again, like you're saying, Josh Oliver is also a blocking tight end. Came from the Ravens 2 seasons
Yes.
ago. Or he came from the Ravens to us last season, but 2 seasons ago with the Ravens, he was like the number 1 or number 2 ranked blocking tight end in the league. So that was a big pickup. We were excited about that. That was one of our free agency pickups last year. Wasn't too flashy, but it was good nonetheless. T.J. Hawkinson, he's top 3 pass catching tight end in the league.
Okay. Okay. Specifically pass catching. Okay. So we've got Kelsey. We've
Kelsey,
got Andrews.
Andrews,
Mandrews.
Hawkinson. We could even lump in Laporta there and say, I don't know who's
Oh
1.
yeah.
I don't know who's 4.
What about Kittle?
Yeah, but
Kittle's up there too.
Kittle's up there as just great overall. Obviously, he has those games where all of a sudden he just has like 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, and 80 yards or something ridiculous. But yeah, Kittle is also great, right? Like there's a lot of the tight end
Mm-hmm.
position is quite top heavy, I think. But we have one of those top guys, and so we'll see what he's like coming back. Big injury, ACL, MCL, I think it was ACL, from a
Yes.
nasty hit. But I'm reluctant to put him in S tier. Like I said, there's guys that are S tier, and
Right.
Hawkinson is great. Johnny Munt
Yes.
is a great third string. Josh Oliver is a great second string, great blocking tight end. Very great. But do I say that Hawk is better than Kelsey? Or what Kelsey was when he was S tier, right? Playoff
Right.
Kelsey.
Right.
Is he playoff
Yeah.
Kelsey? I'm not so sure. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
love the guy. I love him. I don't want anybody else. But I got to be a little realistic here, right? So I'll put him in
Sure.
A with the running backs. Seems a little
Nice.
wonky. Seems like this is a little better than. Yeah, I like it actually. I like it.
Okay. 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 Nice.
Next is what do we got? O line. Okay, O line is a mess on our side. Here, listed starter for left guard is Henry Bird. I gotta tell you, I've never heard of this guy. Never even heard that guy's name before. I'm pretty sure if today the starting lineup was here, the actual left guard will be Blake Brandel.
Okay.
Um, but I saw this horrible thing about how we need more depth because we're one play away from having Dan Feeney play on our offensive line, which is not a good thing. So I've already said two bad things about two of the players listed on here. Not great.
Right.
But
40% of the way done.
we'll we'll talk about left tackle first. Christian Darrisaw, absolute stud. This guy, this guy might be one of those S tier guys. It's really hard with
Right.
O line, right? It's really really hard.
Yeah.
He's fringe S tier though, right? He will be getting paid here pretty soon, and the guy deserves to get a lot of money, and he will. So
Yeah.
Christian Darrisaw, great fringe S tier. Left guard Blake Brandel, I'd say he's more of a really good backup, a really good depth player. Um, our left guard last year is still not signed anywhere. Geez, his name, Reisner, yeah, Reisner.
Right.
He is not signed anywhere, but there's talks. He just signed with the new agent, fired his agent, got a new agent with a guy who has a bunch, like the agent has a bunch of players on our team. So people think that maybe they'll try and work out a deal. But either way, Reisner's not on the team, so we can't really speak about him. So Blake Brandel starting, he is, like I said, a good backup, a good depth player, but not necessarily starting caliber player. Garrett Bradbury, better last year, not great any other year. He's undersized. He gets bull rushed like crazy, gets pushed back like crazy. Center isn't our strong suit at all. Right guard, Ed Ingram, also not great. I think he had decent pass blocking last year, above average. As a whole, the O line had very good pass blocking and very poor run blocking. Brian O'Neill, right tackle, again great. I wouldn't say he's S tier. I wouldn't even say fringe. I'd say he's on the A right
Okay.
tackle.
So you really like your bookends there.
The bookends are great. I would say as a whole, those guys I might put as a duo. If we're just talking duo, I might put those
Right.
guys in the S tier, just based on other
Right.
teams, what other duos look like. So,
So
but
then how does the interior of your line
the
balance you
interior's
out?
not great. It brings us down so far, especially if I'm talking about pass blocking. I might say, and PFF would agree, probably like an A for pass
Yep.
blocking. But run blocking was not great. But we're still like, I think, well above average as a whole. So I'll go
Okay.
B.
B tier.
I'll go
Okay.
B tier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, our O line here, left tackle Rashawn Slater. I know he was injured
but stud.
last year, but stud. Absolutely. What a solid pick in the first round to protect Justin Herbert. Then our left guard, right? They have Zion Johnson listed here. So another first round pick there at 2022. And he's been serviceable absolutely. Um he had a little bit of a better rookie season than he did last year, and he did have to switch sides last year, so maybe that had something to do with it. But him working with Rashawn, two former first round picks, I think there is some magic to be had there over on the left side of the line. Now our center situation, it is more than likely that Corey Linsley is going to retire.
Mhm.
And he needs to take care of himself, absolutely. So we did sign Bradley Bozeman, and so recently with the Carolina Panthers, and then the Baltimore Ravens before that. He's a big guy, and this like all I'm reading about is how Harbaugh's gonna love having him front and center and being that brute force, that leader of that O line. Right guard Jamari Sawyer, he was a sixth round pick that when Rashawn Slater got hurt for the whole season, um, 2 years ago, he stepped in at left tackle and he did an amicable job. He did very well, especially sixth round pick, and he was a bit undersized. So he that promoted him to starting offensive line, which he went back to the guard position, and where he was playing in college, and I believe that was again the right guard position, and that's where he is today. Right tackle Trey Pipkins. 2 years ago he had a little bit of resurgence, and he got on the better side of the fans. And last year, between injury, he is an off injured player, but last year between injuries and just the way the whole season went, that O line didn't perform as well as we had hoped. So he's up there. We're at least in average position here. So looking at our O line, oh goodness, it would be so much different if Corey Linsley was there. Rashawn Slater. I think if those injuries weren't there, he would be again that fringe S tier type of player. Zion Johnson. Looking at this, I think I'm going to have to put our O line in a B tier. B tier. And we will see how Harbaugh works with these guys. Get them tough, get them mean, ready to go for this season, ready to go on a winning tour to the Super Bowl. Let's go to the D line. And speaking of the D line, we have as starters Morgan Fox with Poona Ford as the nose tackle and Scott Matlock. And I will tell you here, it's not looking the best. We have some big boys there. Morgan Fox has been great for us in the past couple seasons. He is one of the pass rushing interior D linemen, and he does a great job. He leads the group for sure. There's an interesting prospect at nose tackle in CJ Okoye, which he was brought in. I believe it was the International Pathway program that the NFL has. So he was brought in last year, and he was one of the top prospects to come out of that program last year. So we were excited to get him. Let's see how Jesse Minter and Harbaugh can shape him and get him on the right track. I I I think there can be some upgrades. There needs to be some upgrades. We need to get bigger, stronger there up in the front to really help those guys on the edge. So I am going to put our D line in the C tier.
Okay. For us, left defensive end says here starter Jerry Tillery. It's
Boo!
it's a little wonky, right? Because even when Daniil Hunter was on the team, he was listed as an outside linebacker, but
Right.
he was really like the defensive end. It's kind of strange because Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard, they're listed here as linebackers, but they're edge
So
rushers.
edge rushers. So yeah, and that's why I'm gonna put edge rushers in their own sort of tier here. So
Yeah.
the D line won't count them in
Yeah,
there.
but it just listing left defensive end as Jerry Tillery, right defensive end as Jonathan Bullard, and then the nose tackle. So, but either way, we'll go off this list here. Jonathan Bullard, I think serviceable, but just serviceable. Harrison Phillips, I really like Harrison Phillips. Really, really like Harrison Phillips, but I don't know how great he is. He's just like
Right.
a great team, a member of our team. I think he does well. But in comparison to other nose tackles, and I'm not even sure. Yeah, but either way, um,
Yeah.
if he really plays nose tackle, I think maybe he's like more three tech. But anyways, uh, if we're going off these three positions here that it's saying here, they saying looking good. Jerry Tillery is yet to be seen. Uh,
Former first round bust, Jerry
Jacqueline
Tillery.
Roy, Was fine, but these are all rotational players, right? I know D line it rotates a lot, but these are like considered rotational guys too. Same with Jihad Ward, Jonah
Right.
Williams. I'm not so sure about, but when I look at this, I'm not impressed. I know that this is a very big place that people want to draft, a very
Right.
big position, a positional group that people want to improve is our D line. So, like I said, like edge and yeah, it's all wonky here. But if we're just going with D line with these guys here, uh, like the defensive tackles and whatever, I'm pretty low. I'm thinking that
Yeah.
these guys are honestly like D tier. I wouldn't say that they're
Rebuild.
rebuild. Definitely not rebuild. Definitely not rebuild. These guys are veterans. They're good players. Uh, but in comparison to what other teams have awesome D lines, awesome interior D lines.
Right.
And I would not say that the Vikings are included in any sort of conversation about great interior D lines. So I'm going with D. I think that there's lots of room to improve. I'd love it if these guys proved it themselves rather than us
Right.
having to upgrade, but we'll see. Then we get into edge. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, like these are some strange positional groups here, but Andrew Van Ginkel, Pat Jones, Jonathan Grenard, and Andre Carter too, or the second. Um, I haven't seen Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel
Right.
play for the Vikings. I haven't seen them play for Brian Flores. I haven't seen or really watched them that intensely. You know, when you watch other teams, you just kind of watch the game and it's fun. But when you watch your own
100%.
team, you might notice, look what he did there. Look what he did there. So I haven't been
Yeah.
able to pick out what these guys are doing. I haven't watched any tape or anything like that on these guys. So um, I would say people are very excited.
Hmm.
People are very excited about these two pickups specifically, and they're based. This is our edge group is an entirely new uh, um, cast of players, and so these two guys, the unknowns that I have, I definitely can't like. No matter how excited people are about them, I'm not putting them obviously in S. I'm not putting them in A. I could maybe argue that they're B. You know, even Pat
Okay.
Jones, he was good. Again, rotational player, but they come in like they rotate in all the time. He was great as kind of like a backup for like our two backups last year, uh, DJ Wanham and Pat Jones for our edge rushers last year. They did a great job. Pat Jones, there's lots of highlights of him on the Vikings, so I like him especially as like the backup. Um,
Right.
and people are like I said, people are very excited about Van Ginkel and Grenard. So I'll probably put us in the B. You know, this
Okay.
is kind of
Yeah.
holding our exterior D line is holding our D line up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Um,
Hundred
but
percent.
but this one is
100%.
definitely you're gonna have to see. You know, I'm gonna have to see how these things go. But
100%. And we will revisit these tier lists as
totally,
the season goes on, and maybe midway through the season we can test it out and see where we're at. What do we with
yeah.
the new additions and free agency, the draft? Where are we at?
Even just
Wow,
check out.
we're all S tier. We're
Yeah,
going to the Super Bowl.
yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
I want to look at PFF and see where they grade us amongst other teams, right? Because that's kind of how,
Yeah.
the top will be S. Doesn't matter how good they're performing, but they're the top, right?
Right.
It's just
That
all
would be
in
a good
reference
measurable.
to other people. So I'd like to see that.
Nice. All right, edge rusher here. Now we are thinking, like we're talking, we are fully healthy.
Yes.
We are performing at the
Yes.
ability that we are paid and
We're on
hired to
paper here.
perform at. Yes, exactly. Exactly. So a combination of Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, and Tuli Pelotu. That is nuts. I like you have to search pretty hard to find some of these edge rushing teams, duos, trios. And Thule can play on the interior of the line too. And he's got that motor to really, really wreak havoc. And I'm looking at this, especially after the year Mac had last year. Thule up and rising, learning from these two, and Joey Bosa fully healthy, playing in Jesse Minter's defense. All of three of these guys, very exciting. I am putting them in the S tier. As a room,
In the S tier.
absolutely. In the S
Ooh.
tier. It is looking
Ooh.
nice in that edge rushing room. And let's
Ooh.
bring it on. Let's get to those QBs this year. I believe in Harbaugh. To continue, we have three position groups here left, Brandon. And the next one for the Chargers is the linebacking core. We signed Denzel Perryman to come back to the Chargers on a 1-year deal. We have Nick Neiman as well. Troy Dye from the Vikings, and then Dan Henley, who was a rookie last year. He'll be second year player this year. There was a lot of promise with him. He was our third round pick last year, and he was that sideline to sideline linebacker. He had that dog mentality in him. He was a little bit on the smaller size there, but as we talk about some of the devalued positions on the offensive side, well, linebacker seems to be that on the defensive side of the ball, unless you have the absolute studs over there like they do in San Francisco, for example, with Fred Warner. Um,
Trey Green.
it's you don't get a lot of the superstars in that position group anymore. Long gone are the days where help me with Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis, those middle line, Brian Urlacher and the Bears, those
They don't
middle
have
linebackers
linebackers
really.
aren't huge like that anymore.
Right,
You
right.
know, they have to cover so much that they got to be quick.
Yes,
They
yeah,
don't. They
that
don't.
yeah,
They're not
that
built like
position
that
has
anymore.
changed quite a bit. So we have Denzel Perryman, Nick Neiman, Dan Henley is interesting and a very exciting prospect, but this position tier, I'm gonna go. It's a C tier. It's a C tier.
Okay. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Um. Okay, for us, undrafted rookie last year, Ivan Pace Jr. led a lot of, um, you know, conversations with being one of the better undrafted players of last year. Definitely
Yes.
undrafted rookies of last year. Um, he was on a lot of lists as being a great breakout star for the Vikings last year. I'm pretty sure he was All American in college his last year. It's just his size. He's quite small. I think he's just 6 feet flat. He's a very small guy, and so you can see it. He's a small guy and he knows it, and he plays hard and he plays fast. This dude is electric. I love watching him play. So him, we know that we're getting. I think there's kind of like a cap on a player like that, especially with the size. But he's proven people wrong left and right, so I shouldn't really say too much negative about him. But he's great. Definitely not S tier. Definitely not one of those guys. But he's a great player, a great starter as well. From an undrafted guy that shouldn't even make the team to starting,
Hmm.
pretty awesome. Blake Cashman, okay, from the Texans. I don't know this guy as well. Just like Grenard came over from the Texans, I'm not sure what that's all about. But I know his stats from last year, his ranks, his PFF ratings, and all that kind of stuff were great from last year. So we'll say that he's good. We'll say that he's good. I don't know too much else about him. It says here third string Brian Asamoah, but I actually thought Brian Asamoah was the second string guy. Um, but there's
Right.
questions.
This is just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
pretty early in the season rankings.
There's questions on how good that guy's going to be, and will he live up to what he should have been? I think he was a third or fourth round pick, or I'm not sure, but he wasn't that late of a round pick for the Vikings 2 years ago. So I'm going with. I'll probably choose it's a B tier. These guys are good.
Yep.
They're not.
Okay. Nice.
You're not writing home about them, but they're good. B. they're good. Uh, they're I like them. They play hard, and we'll see. Especially with Blake Cashman, I'm excited to see how he plays. I'm excited to see how both of them can play together. So we'll see how that goes. Cornerback. Okay, this one's not great. There were injuries that set us back last year, but the last 2 years it definitely hasn't been great. But they seem to be clicking in the B flow defense, and aside from injuries, they seem to be doing well, to like serviceable. They were doing their job. So Caleb Evans, I actually like Caleb Evans. He has a couple injury hiccups here and there. Same with Andrew Booth. Mekhi Blackman came in as a backup and played well as like a second or third string guy. Byron Murphy came in last year as well, and you just don't hear much about him, which is good
Right.
for corners.
Yeah.
And so it's not like he was getting burned on every play, but he wasn't picking guys off all the time either,
Hmm.
causing pass breakups and stuff. So Juwan Williams, I think he came in for. I remember him coming in for a few plays and being fine. Najee Thompson as well came in and would play pretty well because we had so many injuries. We were going through these guys, but we signed Shaquille Griffin this year, who could be great, who could be good. We don't really know.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
these guys, they're definitely on the lower end. I won't put them in D like I have D line. I'll probably put them in C tier.
That's fair. That's fair.
They're not great, but they're doing their job to a certain extent.
Yeah, you can definitely upgrade.
Definitely can upgrade, and nobody
Right.
would disagree about that. If we roll with this, people would be unhappy, which I think people should be unhappy with a C tier position group.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Cornerback room for us. Well, Asante Samuel Jr. is still there. We love Asante Samuel Jr. He plays with a lot of heart, and he is on the smaller side, but he plays a lot bigger than he looks. And I still have this moment etched in my memory of early on where he was playing Devonte Adams, and he was not he didn't he knew who he was obviously, but he did not let Devonte Adams push him around, and he got up in his face, and it got to an altercation where Asante grabbed his jersey and fully extended his arm up, like pushing Devonte away, and it was a sight to see. Seeing this, I believe it was his rookie season too, trying to put his own mark in the NFL. Of course, his father played for the New England Patriots years ago. Um, he's trying to make a name for himself, and I believe he's done a good job at doing that in the first few years in the league. Uh, Seems to be great in that slot position. Is he that number one corner, can shadow your number one wide receiver? Not consistently. He has done a good job, but not consistently. If you get a lot of those bigger guys on him, bigger, great wide receivers, it's definitely a tougher matchup. We just signed former second round pick Christian Fulton, who's had a very up and down, tumultuous career so far over in Tennessee. Who knows? Maybe we can you get something quite valuable out of him with the coaching staff that we have aboard now. And then behind him, the notable names, Dean Leonard and Jasir Taylor. They've just been the guys who have stepped up when in the last couple of seasons due to injuries, and they've had some great games. But they've also had some pretty poor performances. One great memory that I have of them playing, we were really beat up in the secondary, and we had to play the Miami Dolphins. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle a couple years ago. It wasn't last year, and these guys stepped up, and we held that explosive offense to way less than they were scoring. Um, so there is some goods, but I think we have to upgrade here. I will probably put our cornerback room in the B tier. the last position in the defense here at safety, we have Derwin James Jr. and we re-signed Alohi Gilman, his running mate at free safety there. I'm a big Derwin James fan. Him as a person just seems like such a great guy, but him playing on the field, he is a mean machine out there. Again, memory etched in my brain is him picking up Travis Kelsey and just suplexing him to the ground. What a fantastic play that was. Um, he's great. He last year he had a few ill-timed penalties. There's a lot of unnecessary roughness because he's hard hitting. He's at the point of attack very quickly. Loic Gilman has been great for us in the past couple of years as well because it's a position group and it's not an individual. I think Derwin James absolutely is in that S tier for safeties with Alohi Gilman there. He is not, but he is absolutely an above average safety, and that tandem there is going to make it to the A tier
Ooh.
for the LA Chargers.
A tier. Hey, okay. Our safeties. Harrison Smith used to be S tier. Used to be
Yeah.
S tier.
Okay. Fair.
Today I'll put him
Exactly.
as a fringe A. He's great at organizing the defense, which is huge. He's great at knowing where he should be, knowing where his teammates should be, and supporting his teammates any way that he can. Very great in that aspect. Makes everyone around him better. So what he might lack in athleticism these days, he makes up for in his football IQ and his command on the field. I think he's a quiet guy, but there's like an aura about this specific veteran uh, that he can really help on the field.
Right.
Cam Bynum, absolutely love this guy. One of my he's a fan favorite for sure. He's just such a happy guy, and he plays really well. And I just remember him talking about the study that he put in after he got an interception. He started talking about how much he was studying that specific play if it comes out, and he showed his notebook and he's like, right here it says like potential interception on this specific play, and he was like, and he did it, and he got an interception on the play. So I'm sure that lots of players do that, but when you see something like that, it's kind of in your head. You think this guy takes it seriously. This guy is doing what he needs to do to perform on the field, and so really like that guy. Josh Metellus as a backup, it's so strange. The guy is dynamic. He plays anywhere and everywhere. Last year there was a graphic on the screen saying that he played in 11 positions last year for us on the defense.
Really.
Crazy. The guy is everywhere. He's like on the field more as a linebacker than he is a safety, but he's not. I don't know. It's just the way that the defense works. It's very unique and dynamic, and he is a very unique and dynamic player. So those guys, those three together, I would say are starters.
Okay.
And they're great. Theo Jackson is a backup. Jay Ward is a backup. Both had good plays last year. I'm sure both also got a little torch last year as well when they had to play. But I do remember some seeing their names being talked about, or hearing their names being talked about in a positive light. So we'll see there. Lewis Seen as well, former first round from 2 years ago. Not great.
Yeah, who
Doesn't see the field.
knows?
We'll see what happens there, but that's kind of nothing. So as a whole, I don't know if I'd go A. There's lots of great safeties out there. Derwin James, like you're mentioning, great safety. And Harrison Smith, like I said, used to be in that. But is he there today?
Right.
It's hard to know. He's at the tail end of his career. And so I'm not going to go A, but I am going to go B. I think that we have a good safety room. I think together, those three guys, they're very, very good. They just haven't hit like the next levels. You know what I mean? But
Right.
but
Right.
if anybody had these three guys on their, like we said, you shouldn't be happy with a C. You're very happy with this B. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
happy to have these players. Other players, like I said, are better out there, but these guys together are great, and you're happy with them. So that's it. Okay.
Great. Amazing. Well, there we have it. Our first tier list battle royale here.
Okay. Have you looked at the
Chargers and
points?
Vikings. I haven't looked at the points at all.
Okay.
So let's see
A
on the
little
count of
slow
three.
reveal for myself.
3, 2, 1.
Boom.
Ooh,
Ooh, pretty close. Pretty close.
very close. So we have the Vikings at 535 points and the Chargers at 510 points. So 1 point to the Vikings here. Pre-draft tier list.
Yeah. I had a lot more
It looks
B's
like you're
than
in a
you.
better position, regardless of your QB situation going into the draft. I'm excited. Potentially go and revisit this after the draft, see if we can fill some of these holes
Yeah.
and see where this goes for the rest of the season. This gets me excited, though. In my mind, I see the areas of need on where we can attack in the draft and then the next phase of free agency. Um, and it looks like there's some obvious positions of need there for the Vikings as
Yeah.
well,
It's
as there
cool.
are with each and every team each year.
It's cool just to look at the whole depth chart and be like, yeah, this ain't actually, this is not good here. This is, I don't know about this
Right,
spot. So, um, yeah, maybe people are onto something with drafting a defensive player, you know. But
right.
yeah,
Well, that was fun.
that was
We
good.
do a little buy and sell. We'll do some tier lists. We'll have a little bit of fun here. And if any of you want to join in on the fun, you know what to do. Make sure to subscribe. You will never miss one of these again. Comment in the comment section below. Let us know what type of tier list, what type of buy or sell, what type of games, activities you want to see. Um, and again, tune in every Wednesday for us. Brandon, send us off.
Okay, well, you said like my whole send off, so I'll just end it here and say, until next time, Skol Bolts. Okay, Skol Bolts, baby.
Skol Bolts, Brandon.
Yeah, yeah.
Skol
Thank you.
Bolts, guys.
Thank you for joining us.